Hello everyone, my name is Harish Amity. So this is our foundation course for sociology. I hope you all have watched my demo class and our first chapter. Both are already uploaded on YouTube. So this is our second class of first chapter. This is 1A. See the title, Modernity and Social Changes in Europe and Emergence of Sociology. So something called modernity has happened in Europe and it resulted in some social changes in Europe. Social changes, that means changes in society, and it resulted in emergence of something called sociology. So this is the chapter 1A. In sociology paper 1, as I have explained in my demo class, in sociology is optional. There are two papers, paper 1, paper 2. In paper 1, we read about general sociology, normal sociology, okay? In paper 1, we have 10 chapters explaining the general sociology, fundamentals of sociology. And in paper 2, we talk about Indian sociology. Paper 2 is completely about Indian sociology. How sociology originated in Europe and how it spread to India and how it developed in India. So paper 2 is completely regarding the Indian sociology. You will learn these fundamentals of sociology in paper 1 and then you will apply it to the Indian part in paper 2. So first chapter is sociology, the discipline. In that first subchapter is modernity and social changes in Europe and emergence of sociology. So when you are asked to write this optional exam, you are supposed to write sociological answers. Your answer should supposed to be different from commonsensical person. A person who read newspapers or general studies, his answers will be different, and a person who studied sociology at postgraduate level, his answers will be different. So in optional subject, UPSC expects you to write this postgraduate level of answers, okay? You are supposed to make answers more sociological, more expert-like. So how can you make this answer more sociological? There are 3 ways to do it. One is by using sociological vocabulary. Sociological vocabulary means there will be some dedicated words used by the sociologists in the subject of sociology. So you should learn those words and you should reproduce them in exam. Second way, by quoting relevant thinkers. There are many sociologists in India and the world. In paper 1 alone, we read about 40 to 50 sociologists, paper 1. Again in paper 2, we read around 40 sociologists. So throughout your whole course of sociology, you will read about at least 80 sociologists. When a question comes in the exam, you can use the sociological research or the name of the sociologist you have read in your preparation. You can use it in the exam. It will make your answer more sociological. It is generally said that when a 10 marks question is given, you have to write at least 4 thinkers. So you should mention at least 4 thinkers in a 10 marker question. And you are supposed to mention at least 8 thinkers in 20 marker question. Why? Just to make your answer more sociological, more expert-like, okay? Expert-like. You are not supposed to write like a common person. In UPSC, you will have GS papers, general studies papers. There are 4 general studies papers. In these general studies papers, you can write answers like a normal person, like a graduate person. This is fine. But in optional, you are supposed to look like an expert, more than an average person, okay? So in GS papers, one question will be given, you have to write in one way. But if the same question is given to you in optional, your answer is supposed to be different. How it differs? Your vocabulary will be different. Same question when given in general studies and optional. Same question, but your answer should be different. In general studies, you will write in a way a common person can understand. Like in a newspaper, how newspaper writes article. In general studies, you are supposed to write like that. But if the same question comes in optional, then your vocabulary should be different. You will be writing some words only sociologists would understand. Only sociology students would understand. Normal people may not understand it. But still, you have to write like that, because in that way, the evaluator will know that you are a sincere aspirant. You have prepared and came to the exam. Second way, to quote relevant thinkers. In general studies, you won't quote thinkers. Usually you won't quote thinkers unless it is ethics. In general studies, you won't quote any thinkers. Next, third way is using current affairs, reports and indices. So these are the three ways you can make your answer more sociological. See here, UPSC in the question itself asking to write a sociological perspective. So writing a GS type answer is not even allowed. Even if you write a GS type answer, general studies type answer, UPSC won't give you much marks. So if a person writes something for a 10 marks question in a GS way, he will get 3 or 4. That's it. But if you write a sociological way, you may get 6, 7 at least. 6 or 7 for a 10 marks question. So if you mention a name of one thinker, you will get half or 1 mark extra. If you mention a current affair, you will get half or 1 mark extra. If you use some particular vocabulary, you will get half or 1 mark extra. So this is how you can make answer more sociological. So we are discussing right now first chapter, modernity and social changes in Europe, emergence of sociology. This is under the broad heading of sociology, the discipline. You are introduced to the sociology discipline in this chapter. You will get to know what is sociology, how it originated in Europe and why it has originated. You will read about the scope of the subject. What is sociology? When a sociologist does some research, what does he exactly study and how he study? Okay, so there are two questions in the scope of the subject. One is what is sociology, or what should be the subject of sociology. Another one is how to study sociology, how to study society. So two questions, what and how. These two questions answer the scope of the sociology. Again, comparison with other sciences. There are some other social sciences like political science, history, economy, anthropology, etc. Psychology also. So in this chapter, in this subchapter, you will compare sociology with the other sciences. So if a question comes, compare sociology with history, you will write like this. Sociology on one side, history on one side. So you will write the differences. How history studies only about the past, but how sociology also studies present. What are the thinkers who did some research in sociology? What are the thinkers who did their research in history? So this is the way you write question and answers in this chapter. Next, you will study how sociology differs from the common sense. Common sense is different. Every person will have common sense, but not every person is an expert in sociology. So, as I have told you, you are supposed to show yourself as a sociologist, as an expert in sociology, as a sincere aspirant or student of sociology. So that's how your answers differs from the common sense. In this chapter, you will read about how sociology differs from the common sense. Okay. So let us come back to our 1A, which we are continuing from yesterday. Please do watch first 2 classes on YouTube, already uploaded. So what is sociology? Sociology is the scientific study of the society. This is the general answer, generalized answer. But as I have told you, you have to make your answer more sociological. How can you make your answer more sociological? In this way, by corroborating with the thinkers or current affairs or using sociological vocabulary. See here, human interactions, interrelations, their conditions, consequences. Okay, this is how you write answer. Okay, so definition, thinker. Now this answer is sociological. Sociological reasoning. What is sociological reasoning? Sociological reasoning is nothing but questioning the society, questioning everything. If someone says you should pray this way, why should I pray this way? Why should you call elders sir? Why should you respect elders? So there will be reason behind. When people say respect elders, there will be some reason behind it. Okay. If a Hindu practices one method, there will be a reason behind it. If a Muslim does something, there will be some reason. Every society or every person will have some reason behind the act he does. So sociological reasoning is nothing but inquiring that particular reason. So sociological reasoning is the systematic thinking in the society we live in. Systematic thinking. But this sociological reasoning is not new. It is always existed in the society. Republic of Plato. This is an old book written in the ancient Greece. by Plato. So book name is Republic and his name is Plato. In this book Republic, Plato explains how society can be made better. He sees the Greek society, he sees the kings, and he thinks kings are selfish. Kings are selfish, that's why society is not in a good condition. So he suggests how to make kings better. So he says kings should not marry. Kings should not marry. So this is one of his solution. King should not have family. It is one of the solution given by the Plato in Republic. Why he says like that? He sees some problems in the society, like king is selfish. Now he want to solve it. So he does some sociological reasoning. He analyzed the society he is living in. Now he reasoned it and he came up with the solution. So he is suggesting kings should not marry. He gave multiple solutions like that, the problems of the particular time. De Officis of the Cicero. And more closer one, Ardhashastra of the Kautilya. So Kautilya or Chanakya, both refers to the same person. So this Chanakya wrote a book called Ardhashastra. In Ardhashastra also, he analyzes the Mauryan period of 3rd century. In 3rd century and 4th century BC, in ancient history, you will read about someone called Mauryan kings, Chandragupta Maurya. So during the time of that particular king, how society is, Kautilya analyzes in this book how to make king safe from the other kingdoms, a kingdom surrounded by the other enemy kingdoms, how to make friends, how to keep military always ready, how to make people more compliant. So these are the things he analyzes in the Ardhashastra. All of this is sociological reasoning. So this is not new. Even in 3rd century BC, 4th century BC, it is happening. So that definitely means sociological reasoning. The essence of the subject of sociology is not new. Sociological reasoning is the essence of sociology. It is not new. It is very old. But there is no formal subject called sociology till 19th century. Till 19th century, there is no formal subject called sociology. Because people always done sociological reasoning, but they did not name it. But by the 19th century, some people felt the need, we should do something. There are some problems in society, now I have to solve these problems. How can I solve these problems? I am seeing a doctor calling what he does as medicine. There is a name, medicine to a subject, and doctor studies the diseases. Doctor comes up with the ways of treatment, he establishes some rules. Rules are ready, so when a person gets sick, when the problem gets repeated, he applies the rules, he applies the already existing treatment, and he solves the problem. So seeing the natural sciences like physics, medicine, some people in this 19th century realizes that we should imitate these natural sciences. First we should have a subject for society, we should have a science for society, then we should have some prior existed rules, some treatments. So when society gets sick, like happened in 19th century, how it happened we will read. So when society gets sick, I will apply the treatment to the society. So I will resolve the problems of the society, I will make society better again. So some people does this type of thinking in the 19th century, and out of this thinking sociology gets originated. So there is a period called Dark Ages in European history. Dark Ages. Before 5th century in Europe, there is a kingdom called Roman Empire. There is an empire called Roman Empire. So Roman Empire was culturally very rich, architecturally very rich. They have very big buildings. They are very rich. They have very large empire covering Europe and some parts of Africa, Asia. So it is a very large empire. Europeans are proud of Roman Empire. Roman Empire based on Italy, Rome. Its main center is Rome in Italy. So it is called Roman Empire. So people are very proud of Roman Empire. It survived till 5th century, and in 5th century this Roman Empire has fallen. So suddenly the cultural developments in Europe got stagnated. Cultural developments, that means literature, painting, dances, etc. no more developed. Europe becoming somewhat backward. Again, scientific developments getting stopped. Religion taking more place in the person's life. religion. The domination of church is increasing. By church I mean Christian religion. When I say church, I refer to the religious clergy of the Christianity. Clergy, like Brahmins in India, there is a clergy in Christianity, clergy. So when I say church, I refer to these rules of this clergy. Whatever the rules are being set by this clergy of Christianity. So in Europe, the influence of this church is increasing. So they are setting new rules. They are telling people what to do. They are dominating. So there is no scientific advancement, there is no cultural advancement. So this period is called Dark Ages. People are not satisfied with what is happening in this Dark Ages. After 5th century, this Dark Ages continue till 15th century. So the period in Europe between 5th and 15th century is called Dark Ages. Dark Ages. And after Dark Ages, something called Renaissance came. So Dark Ages continued. After the end of Dark Ages, something called Renaissance. What is Renaissance? Renaissance refers to a period. So 14th century to 17th century is called Renaissance. So this is 5th to 15th century, 5th century AD to 15th century AD. This is 14th to 17th century AD. Almost after the end of Dark Ages, Renaissance happened. Renaissance literally means re-awakening. Re-awakening. So what is this re-awakening? Re means it happened again. So before 5th century, they are awakened. They are happy with the Roman Empire. They are very rich. They are very powerful. Then they have got some dull period. Then again they are awakening again. So the development started happening again. People are happy with the power, rising power again. So in Renaissance, there are many positive things happened. One is cultural revolution. Cultural revolution. This is the first thing happened. The dances, paintings, music, literature started improving again. So cultural development is happening. That is why it is called Renaissance. Then commercial revolution. Commercial revolution has happened. Commercial revolution. Why commercial revolution happened? In 1498, some person called Vasco da Gama found sea route to India. Sea route from Europe to India. Similarly, at the same time, a person called Columbus, just before this Vasco da Gama finding India, a person called Columbus tried to find India and he found American continent. So Columbus found American continent, route to American continent. Vasco da Gama found route to India. So now European people can trade with many countries. So the merchants of Europe started traveling to many other countries and started earning profits in many countries like India and America. So the merchants in Europe are getting rich. So there is a commercial revolution. Mercantilism. So it is called mercantilism. Merchants are developing. Mercantilism. People selling goods in another country. People taking raw materials from another country, selling at another country. People bringing another product from that country, selling again. They take raw material from India and sell it to England, and they make cotton there and they bring that cotton and sell it to India. So they are selling here and there. It is called mercantilism. So because of this mercantilism, during this period of Renaissance, between 14th to 17th century, commercial revolution has happened. So cultural revolution, commercial revolution, then something called scientific revolution has happened. Scientific revolution. Scientific revolution. There is a person called John Gutenberg. He invented printing machine. John Gutenberg invented something called printing machine. John Gutenberg. Then Copernicus came up with heliocentric theory. Before Copernicus, people were thinking Earth is at the center of universe and everything, sun, and all other planets are rotating around Earth. So this is called Earth-centric theory, geocentric theory. But Copernicus proved it is wrong. No, sun is not rotating around Earth. Earth is the one rotating around the sun. So there are some scientists like Copernicus, Kepler, and Isaac Newton. You must be knowing Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton discovered Newtonian laws of motion. So there are some scientists, they have made new discoveries, new inventions. So it has resulted into scientific revolution. So the influence of religion coming down. Before this scientific revolution, whatever this Christian clergy, the church is telling, people are blindly believing. If church tells people earth is flat, people are blindly believing it. People are not questioning how can earth be flat. So some people are saying earth is round. Now Christian clergy is saying earth is flat. So slowly they started stopping believing this church and they started believing in scientists. So this scientific revolution kept happening in this Renaissance. So Renaissance resulted into another period called Enlightenment. Because of what happened in Renaissance, rationality of people got increased. People started questioning. So when people started questioning and rationality increased, it resulted into Enlightenment. Enlightenment literally means getting more clever. Okay? So enlightenment, lighten up. So people got more lightened up. They started believing blindly in anything. They started questioning everything. They stopped believing blindly everything. So they started questioning. So it is a period of intellectual movement. So this is the Renaissance. Scientists Copernicus, Isaac Newton. So Renaissance resulted into something called Enlightenment. So during this Enlightenment, many thinkers came. Like Voltaire. There is a thinker called Voltaire. Voltaire said to church, Voltaire says, church, you are a religious organization. You are religious people. Why are you meddling in the ruling affairs of the king? Don't tell king what to do. Don't tell people what to do. Okay, whether people believe earth is flat or round, it is not your matter. You are supposed to limit yourself into the church. So Voltaire said, church and other affairs should be separated. That means government affairs or king affairs, which he called state. The affairs of the state should be separated from the affairs of the church. Before Voltaire, no one even thought like that. This is a new thinking process. People thought it is natural for the church to involve in all the affairs. But his question is valid, because what is the purpose of church? Church is a religious organization. Why religious organization meddling in non-religious affairs? So after his questioning, many people started thinking, yes, Voltaire is right. You are a religious organization. Please limit yourself to the religious sphere. Do not come into the non-religious things. Let people live. So after Voltaire, some more thinkers like Montesquieu. You will read in world history all these thinkers: Montesquieu, John Locke, Rousseau. These are normal general thinkers of world history. So these are Enlightenment thinkers. These thinkers gave new ideas to people. They are inspiring people to question. This John Locke says, whether it is king or whether it is a parliament, whether it is a prime minister, any government, you should accept only when he listens to you. As long as government is nice to you, as long as government respects your rights, till then only you have to respect the government. If king is doing whatever he wants, king is not respecting the wishes of the people. People have the right to remove the king. When John Locke said this, it is very sensational, because till then people are thinking king has the support of the God. King says that. This is a stereotype promoted by the king. King has the divine support. Then king's son would be the next king, inheritity. So king's son, then his son, then his son. So no other person has the chance. It is already decided who will be the next ruler. No other person, no other family has the chance. If people does not like the king, they cannot remove him. It is their fate. That was the thinking before John Locke. But now John Locke is saying, people, wake up. Don't believe in anything blindly. No king has the support of the God. If you don't like the king, just revolt. Just replace the king. put another person in the as the in charge who will respect your rights. So that kind of new ideas, one person added one by one. So people started getting enlightened. They are getting new ideas. They are getting more intellectual. Their cleverness is increasing. So after this enlightenment movement, people started questioning everything. So all the theories put by the church are being now questioned now. Everything has to be tested. If church says earth is round, it has to be tested. Earth is flat or round, it has to be proved. Church said earth is flat. Church said earth is flat. Then one person noticed that the shadow on the moon is curved. Shadow on the moon is curved. This is sun, this is earth, and the shadow on the moon is curved. This is the shadow of the earth because earth is in the middle. This is sun, this is earth, this is moon. The shadow on the moon is nothing but the shadow of the earth. If earth is flat, shadow should be like this. It should not be curved. It should be a straight line. So one person started asking why it is curved. So it is only because earth is round. Then Copernicus observed in the night sky. There is a scientist called Copernicus. So this is Copernicus. Sorry, this is Galileo. This is Galileo. This is Galileo. He started observing other planets in the night sky. He is an astronomer. So when he started observing other planets, he noticed that all other planets are round. Mars is round, Jupiter is round, Saturn is round, Sun is round. So all other planets are round. Moon is round. We can see on from the earth without any telescope. Moon is round. When everything in the space is round, how come earth is flat? So people started questioning the church rules because there is some line which church interpreted earth as flat. There is some line in Bible. Church people are interpreting this line as earth is flat. So they are saying earth is flat, not round. Even there are many people, even now in America, in 21st century, who believe earth is flat. Imagine when in 15th century. So church is dominating very much. With this empirical research, with this practical reasoning, with this observation, with this newly enlightened spirit, now we can question. We got the habit of question. Previously, we do not have the habit of questioning. Now all of these thinkers are supporting us to question. We have the new courage. So now people started questioning everything. So this enlightenment came in 17th and 18th centuries. 17th and 18th. This is in 5th to 5th AD to 15 AD. This is 14th century to 17th century. So when this ended, this started. When this ended, this started. So all of these three resulted into new developments. Now people are more intellectual, more developed, more rational. So the influence of religion is falling down. The influence of science is increasing. Same time, two parallel developments happened. During the period of this enlightenment, two more developments happened, which given more push. Already society got disturbed. See, till then, religion domination, everyone listening to the church pastors or Christian clergy. Whether it is right or not, society is peaceful. Everyone is listening to the church people. So society is peaceful. No one challenging any other person. Now some people are questioning. So these powerful people, Christian clergy, they are being questioned. When some people question the powerful people, there will be no order in the society. Because one person will question the Christian clergy, then he will be immediately imprisoned or killed. Another person will question. So there will be disorder in the society. Already there is so much disorder by the time of enlightenment. Now two incidents happened. Now disorder will further increase. Now it will increase more. So what is this industrial revolution? Industrial revolution started in England in 1760s. Industrial revolution is nothing but using of machines, more usage of machines. Before industrial revolution, I will produce cloth with my hand. But now I invent something called a machine, cloth making machine. Now I will make machine with my machine. Now it is a machine made cloth. Machine makes cloths faster. With my hand, in a day, I will make one shirt, one pant. But with machine, I can make 10 shirts, 10 pants. So machine is very faster. So if I can get a machine, my output will be very much high. Okay. After harvesting the crops, we plant the crops. After 3-4 months, they will ripe and we will harvest, whether it is rice or wheat or anything. After harvesting the crops, if I pull them up with my hand, it will take 3-4 days to remove all the rice from the field. But if I use some machine, thresher or collector, if I use some machine, it can be done in 1 day or half day. So when you use machines, anything will be faster. So industrial revolution, nothing but the technology of developing machines. People found out how to make machines. It started in Europe, it started in Britain. So from Britain, it spread to all other countries in the Europe. So this technological revolution, this new industrial revolution, already adding to the disorder existing. Now some people have machines, some people don't. Some people are worried what will happen machines. If you see, now you will hear about artificial intelligence in current affairs. Everybody is worried about what will happen with the artificial intelligence. We have seen these movies like Robo, Rajnikant, Robo, okay, Matrix, Terminator. There are so many movies in which artificial intelligence becomes so much intelligent than human, and we have difficulty in controlling this artificial intelligence. This is a fantasy, but same like this situation, there are new machines, people are worried. Now I am a cloth maker, I have a factory at house, I will make clothes. Before machines, I have 2 workers. These 2 workers and we 3 people make clothes every day. Now I have machine. Without the help of workers, I can make all the clothes myself. So I will remove these 2 people from employment. So these 2 people become unemployed because of machines. So some people are worried about industrial revolution. Some people think industrial revolution is good. I am a rich person. For me, machine is helpful. For a poor person who has nothing but this job, machine is harmful. So people started worrying about this industrial revolution. Okay. See how the disorder, anxiety among people is increasing one by one. There was peace, right or wrong, there was some peace. Some people started questioning, it is a good thing. But the downside is that it is increasing disorder in the society. Slowly disorder getting increased. Now this French Revolution. This is the most immediate reason of all. We told that sociology originated in 19th century. Why exactly 19th century? Because just before the 19th century, in 1789, that means it is the end of 18th century. 1789, it is the end of 18th century. Just before the 19th century, something called French Revolution has happened. This French Revolution has direct impact on birth of sociology. This is the single most important incident in the history of the world that gave birth to the sociology. So what is this French Revolution? In 18th century France, that means by the time of 1780s, in 18th century France society was divided into 3 estates. If you take same time in India was divided into 5 varnas: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, okay, Sudras and Vaishyas and Sudras, okay, and there are some people who are called untouchables. This is Indian society in 18th century. In similar way, France was divided into 3 estates. It is called estate system. Okay, clergy, nobility, commoner. 3 estates. Clergy is nothing but the Christian clergy we are talking about. They are religious people, like Brahmins at the top. See, in Indian system also, clergy, Hindu clergy, Brahmins are at the top. Similarly, in European system, in France estate system also, clergy at the top. This is the Christian clergy. Then nobility, kings. See here in Indian system also, Kshatriyas are the second in Indian system. Similarly, nobility of France are the second. Now common people. Third one is the common people. So 3 estates: clergy, nobility, commoners. The problem here is that these 2 people do not pay any tax to the king. No king or his subordinate will pay any tax. No religious pastor or clergy will pay any tax. All tax is collected from commoner. Commoner has to do free services to these 2 people. They have to do many services to these people. At the same time, he has to pay tax. There is so much burden on him. Everybody exploiting the commoner. every person at the top, exploiting the person at the bottom. So these people are very tired with the estate system. They are thinking, what is this system? This system is highly unjustified. This is not justice. This should not continue. So we should do something. They are worried about the system. By the time of 1780s, they want to do something. They cannot take this system anymore. So in 1789, French Revolution happens. What is this French Revolution? In 1789, these common people, enough is enough. They are tired of their king. So they will take over the building of the king and they will kill the king. Common people going inside the king's fort and killing the king. See how much of incident. This does not happen frequently in history. It is a very rare incident where common people cannot take any more of the king and they have gone inside the fort and they killed the king. So they have taken over. Common people tied with the system and they have taken over. They have changed the system. So they wanted to say every man is equal. Now we want democracy. Now we don't want monarchy. If king rules, it is called monarchy. If a king rules, the system is called monarchy. No, we don't want any king. Now we want democracy. All men are equal. Now we want to select our own leader who takes care of us, who listens to us, who listens to our problem and solves our problem. King is not listening to our problems. King is not solving our problems. So they want to establish democracy. First of all, this whole incident is a disorder. It is already disturbing the existing order. But this also does not stand. They will put some other people in charge. Then again some person called Napoleon Bonaparte. You must have heard of him. So this Napoleon, he wants to become king. Again he will become king. He will kill some people and he will take over the France. So whatever these people did, it does not stay for many long. Just after 3-4 years, Napoleon becomes king. After another 10 years, Napoleon dies. Another person will come. Another revolution will come. This revolution I am talking about 1789. In 1848, another revolution will come. So this France of 18th century and 19th century is in so much a disorder. Continuously, people do not have any peace. There is no order. When there is order, everyone can live in peace. Everyone, they don't afraid of any theft or any killing. Everyone will bound to some rules. King has some rules. There are some soldiers who will enforce the rules. So there will be peace. Whether king or government, when there is a continuity in the ruling, everyone is at peace. But one king comes, he dies, another person will come, he dies, and he will be replaced by another person, revolution after revolution. So France society was very much in a disorder, in a flux during this 18th, 19th century. So there are some people, especially some person called Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte. We call him father of sociology. Auguste Comte is the father of sociology because he gives the term sociology. There is no sociology before Auguste Comte. Many people are worried. Many people are worried about the society. They want to bring order to the society. This Auguste Comte is a French person. He is seeing all this disorder. What is this? What is this? Please let be one person in charge. Whether it is a king or democracy, please leave one person as the in charge. Do not disturb him. Don't come into this power war. So all of these incidents, already so much disorder happening. Renaissance, Enlightenment, Industrial Revolution. Now this French Revolution added so much disorder into the already existing. People are not at peace. So these people like Auguste Comte, they are seeing now, as I told you, how a doctor, when he sees body as sick. I told you how medicine works. Medicine works. They do some research, they will establish some rules. There are already pre-existing treatments. So when a person gets sick, he will go to the doctor. There is already pre-existing treatment and doctor will give the same. If I catch a cold, there is already some tablet. So I go to the doctor, he will give me the tablet. If I get fever, he will give paracetamol. Everything is already there. So there is a subject, there are some rules and treatments. When something gets sick, it gets solved. When a problem comes, it gets solved. So Auguste Comte wanted to do something. He sees society as sick. There is something wrong with the society. There is no order in the society. Now he wants to bring order to the society. He wants to solve the problems of the society. But like this medicine or physics, there is no prior research, there are no rules, there is no treatment. So he wants to study society in a scientific way. Same like these doctors studied our body in a scientific way. How doctors, why did doctors give this medicine to the cold? Because they already know medicine, this cold comes because of this particular virus and it affects this nose, throat. So they already have this knowledge of the body, scientific knowledge of the body. So in the same way, he wanted to study society. How this doctor studied body, he wanted to study society in a scientific way. Now he wants to understand how society works, how society gets this disorder, how this order in the society gets disturbed, disorder, and how to solve this problem of disorder, how to bring order to the society, how to make society peaceful again. So he is the first person to give this formal name called sociology. So he brings this concept of scientific study of society. So we call him father of sociology. So now see, all of the same time, why this sociology happening? Especially because everything is improving. Now there is one person who believes in religion blindly. There is one person, he believes in religion blindly. He does nothing. He does his farm work. He works very hard on his field, farm. Every Sunday he goes to the church. Whatever the pastor tells him, he believes it. He is a very simple person. No technology, no nothing. He works very hard in his farm. Okay. Now this Renaissance came. It is introducing him to new kind of entertainment. Now you can do business. Now you can do some new kinds of painting. Now you can be a scientist. Then enlightenment coming. Don't listen to the church pastors blindly. Whatever they tell you, please question it. Then industrial revolution is coming. You don't have to work hard on your farm. Take this machine. Take this tractor. Take this new equipment which you can use for harvesting. Then French Revolution came. There is no king. Anyone can come and steal his crop. When a king is there, if someone comes at the night and steal his crop or his cow or his goat or his animal, king is there to punish him. There is no king now. Society is in disorder. No one is in charge. No one is in charge. Then who will punish a person who commits theft? So he is very unsafe. He is having some positives like this machine. Okay, he is improving. His life is improving in some ways. At the same time, his life is getting worsened in some ways. Okay, he is having both positives and negatives. This period we call is modernity, because his phase is changing. His life is improving. Before he was religious, now he is scientific. Before he is very hardworking, using hands, now he is using machines. Before he cannot study, now he can study. Okay, so his life is improving. This period we call modernity. Even now when we say modern, what do we mean by modern? We say be modern. Modern means our dress changes. Okay, a person who believes blindly in religion, we cannot call him modern. A person who is liberal, we call him modern. So where did this modernity came? It came from 19th century Europe. All of these changes together called modernity. When this modernity came, there were some positives, there were some negatives. Disorder is a negative, but his life is getting simple. He don't have to work very hard on the farm. Now he can simply do the work with tractor. So his life is getting somewhat better, but also somewhat worse in many ways. So this mixed effect gave rise to sociology. Why? Because some people wanted to study these negative effects and they want to bring some order, like Auguste Comte, father of sociology. So that's how sociology was born in 19th century Europe. All of these incidents gave birth to sociology. So Renaissance and Enlightenment etc. gave birth to Renaissance, Enlightenment gave birth to modernity, and this modernity has both positives and negatives. It is a relative term. Relative means no one agrees on it. Okay, if I say one, you will agree on it. Okay, one is same for everyone. But what is modernity? Is it a good thing or bad thing? One person says it is good, one person says it is bad. Okay, these Enlightenment thinkers, I told you, Voltaire, John Locke, or Newton, scientist Newton. If you ask these people modernity is good or bad, these people say modernity is good. If you ask the church pastor modernity is good or bad, he will say it is bad, because before modernity he was so powerful, everybody is listening to him. But after modernity, no one is listening to him. Okay, before modernity, no one is listening to the scientists. But after modernity, everybody is listening to the scientists. So these people will say modernity is good. These people will say modernity is bad. Same with sociologist. Sociology is the subject of perspectives. This is the thing you will study in every subject. Sociology is nothing but the perspectives. If I ask religion is good or not, one sociologist will say religion is good. One sociologist will say religion is bad. If I ask you what is family, some person will say family is good and these are the advantages of family. Then another person will come, these are the negatives of family. If you see in family, we say woman has to cook. Woman has to cook. In traditional Indian family, man goes out to work and woman will cook. This is the traditional setup. But when we open a restaurant, if I open a restaurant outside, we said cooking is the responsibility of a woman. Woman is suited to the cooking. So cooking is the responsibility of the woman. But if I open a restaurant, there are high chances I recruit man as a chef. You go outside, you see in the restaurants who are more chefs. You will rarely see a female chef. If cooking is the job of a woman, how come the chefs outside are more men? There is nothing like inherently cooking is man or woman's job. It is society that makes cooking is woman's job, cooking is men's job. When cooking does not pay anything, when cooking is free at home, we do not give money to our mother. So when cooking is free, people say it is woman's job. When I open a restaurant and I say I will give money for cooking, suddenly man becomes eligible. So some people say this family is having some disadvantages. It oppresses women. One feminist will say, feminists are who supports the rights of women. So one feminist will say, this setup of family is nothing but exploitation of women. So some people highlight the positives, some people highlight the negatives. Okay, if you talk about the positives of family, family will support us, family will raise us, family will feed us, family will give us education. So there are some positives, there are some negatives. Same with politics. Politics are good or not. One person will say, politics will give some people voice. I can tell my representative what I want. At the same time, communalism, politicians use some religion to mobilize people. They use emotions, caste. So politics will have some negative, positive. I just want to tell you that many sociological subjects are relative. Not every sociologist agrees on same thing. One person will say another thing, another person will say another thing. There are many schools of sociology. Schools means a style of thought. In sociology, when I say school, it is a style of thought. People who says family is good, they are one school. People who say family is bad, they are one school. There will be another people, they say family has some good elements, some bad elements. They will acknowledge both. They are one school. There are almost 7 to 8 schools in sociology. We will read about them in next class. So, sociology is all about the studying different perspectives. Here in this modernity, some people are saying modernity is a good thing, some people are saying modernity is a bad thing, they are criticizing modernity. So modernity is a relative term. When I say modernity, it is not the same as modernity to some other person, it is relative, okay? But when we, in our subject, what is our title? Modernity and social change in Europe. This is our title of the chapter. So in that particular meaning, in sociology and history, when we say it, we refer to a particular period of Europe, which is 19th century Europe. Okay, we refer to a particular this period, 18th and 19th century. So this is normally modernity, that new trend of thinking, new ways of thinking. So modernity has two meanings. One is new way of thinking, another one is this particular period. Okay, so again, whatever I have told you with common sense. Now I want to substantiate with a thinker. So there is a sociologist called Marshall Berman. Okay, do not worry, you will learn this 80 to 90 thinkers and we will read about these thinkers again and again. So this Berman, you will again hear about his name again. So don't worry, first time you cannot remember anyone's name. So when you read something again and again, 3 to 4 times, then you will remember his name. So that is how we will learn all the thinkers. Now whenever I tell you some name first time, you don't have to remember it. Just understand what is he saying. What is the perspective he is giving. Just focus on that. What is the school of thought he is supporting? So just focus on that. When we read about him again and again, we will know his name. Okay. So according to Marshall Berman, modernity was not just about some ideas or practices. It is not just about believing in science or religion. Okay. Not about practices. Whether you wear traditional dress or new ultra modern dress, it is not just modernity. Modernity is the existential experience. So when I live in rural area, in a village, my life was different. But then modernity happened, towns developed. Then I shifted to town. Whole my life experience is different. How people live in rural areas is different from urban areas. In rural area, my neighbor every day will come inside my house. He don't knock the door. He just comes and he talks everything. He talks about very closed ones. But in urban areas, if he comes like that, it is very odd. Because in urban areas, you are supposed to knock. Okay, you have to talk very formally. You don't know your neighbor. So the experience in rural areas is different, in urban areas are different. So modernity is also giving new existential experiences. So modernity is not just about ideas and practices. It is all about experience also. So that is what Marshall Berman says. So this is one example, before modernity and after modernity. So before modernity, how is law is enforced? Law, before modernity, law is religious books. If you hear about in India, there is something called Manusmriti. Manusmriti. This is old law book of India. In Manusmriti, this Manu tells how a man should behave, how a woman should behave, how a higher caste person should behave, how a lower caste person should behave. We are not following this. This is the book of the older times. What we are following? We are following Constitution of India. Because when modernity came, when in the times of Manu, I told you, he thought this, he has this basic thinking. Man is more than woman. Manu believes that man is more than woman. Then a higher caste person is greater than lower caste person. So under this belief, this is the belief system of the Manu. Under this belief, Manu gave some rules. Manu gave some laws. But we don't believe this in modern times. We now believe everyone is equal. So in accordance with the modern requirements, we have devised a new constitution. I told you, when French Revolution happened, they were tied with this estate system, 3 estate system. So after removing this estate system, they have removed the king. No more estates. No more estates. They have said all men are equal. All men are equal. This is the statement given by those people after French Revolution, because now they want equality. See, even they are not fully equal. What they are saying? All men are equal. They are not saying all humans are equal. They are saying all men are equal. So they still think woman is lesser than man. So they are not fully developed even after the revolution. Now by the time of 21st century, now this sentence, French people don't believe it. French people believed it in 18th or 19th century, but now they think every human being is equal. So this is how before modernity, after modernity, every changed. Family, before modernity, in traditional system, joint families exist. At a place, 2 or 3 generations are living in. Grandfather, son and his grandson. So 3 generations living in. But after this family, after this modernity, now new towns came, urbans came. Before it was rural areas, villages mostly. Now towns came. In towns, mostly nuclear families are suited, because there is a factory you will work in. In ancient times, you will work on field, agriculture. It is called feudalism. But in new times, capitalism came. Capitalism is the factory system. So now factories came. Factories developed in urban areas. When you work in factory, so father, mother, 2 children. Father will go to work, mother will cook at home. This is the life at the factory system in urban areas. If they bring their grandparents, the parents of this person, this worker, it will be difficult to support, because the wages in the factory system were low. Before, they don't have to earn anything. All of them were living on the same field. They are living on the field. Whatever they are doing at home. They are not going outside. They are doing at home. Very near to the home. Just side to the village. But they are now going far away to a factory. System changed. In urban areas, they are not bringing their families. So families becoming nuclear. Now only 4 people or 3 people. Parents and their children. No grandparents. So this is before modernity, after modernity. Society, before it was hierarchy. Hierarchy means one person above the other. As I told you, caste hierarchy is this: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras. This is the caste hierarchy. If I say everyone equal, it is not hierarchy. This is everyone equal. I will write like this. But why don't we write like this? Because Brahmins think they are superior. Older times it was okay. They have believed in hierarchy. But now it was not okay. Now everyone believes in equality. Everyone is equal. Constitution of India says, Article 14 says, everyone should be equal. Article 14. So this is how before modernity, after modernity. Before modernity it was monarchy, ruling of the king. It was fine. But now everyone wants a democracy. Okay. So you have understood the concept of modernity, right? How various things changed the ways we see the world, our society. So now this society has both positives and negatives. Dark ages, Renaissance, Enlightenment, modernity. But modernity has some fallouts. Is this visible? Is it visible? Huh? Okay, so modernity has some fallouts now. Modernity has resulted in some social changes, economic changes, political changes. What are social changes? Rise of industrial society. People previously worked on agricultural fields. Now they are working in factories. Now a middle class came. Before there were only two people, landlord who is rich, worker who is poor. Now with this factory system, something called middle class. Some persons between rich and poor. Before there was rich, poor. Now the middle class is coming. Okay, a third layer in the middle is coming. These people are not rich and not poor. Okay, they are different. Secularism is not believing in any one religion. State, the government at the helm, the king or government at the helm, he does not have any official religion now. Before secularism, kings have one particular religion. The French Revolution I am talking about, king itself accepts the Christianity as his official religion. But in secularism, state does not accept any official religion. So, industrial society, middle class, secularism, urbanization, all rural areas are becoming urban. So, these are some social changes. But these social changes come up with some challenges. What are the challenges? New phase of poverty. Okay, now you are making this urban industrial society and urbanization. Do you see slums in urban areas or not? Okay, in villages do you see slums? So in villages all are poor people, but the poverty in villages is very less. But in urban areas you will see people begging in this junction. In rural areas you will not see. The biggest slum in Asia, Dharavi, it is in Mumbai. It is the biggest slum in India and it is in Mumbai. An urban area has the biggest slum. No slum you will see in village. So this urbanization has some fallouts. New phase of poverty. Okay. So this modernity is not benefiting everyone. It is benefiting some people. Who has got job in this factory, he is fine. But who does not get that job or who does not get a good house, he is having difficulty. Nuclear family. When joint families are there, okay, 2 grandparents, father, mother, 2 children, 6 people are there. Father goes to work, or because this is modern times, mother may also go to work. Then if grandparents are there, they will take care of the children. But if it is a nuclear family, no grandparents, only father, mother, 2 children, both go to work, who will take care of the children? Okay, old people are not just old, they have so much wisdom, their experience is very valuable. So when 4 people only live, they will have so much problems. Even if mother is there without going outside, she cannot control 2 people whole day just taking care of the kids. It will be very hectic on the mother also. So this nuclear family will have some psychological issues or issues of children, managing children. Okay, so this nuclear family has some negatives also. Okay. From joint family, separating nuclear family will give them some freedom, will give them some financial advantage. Now they don't have to take care of their parents. So it will have some advantages for these people. But at the same time, it will have some negative effects also. So this modernity causing some social changes, but it is having some challenges also, social challenges. Same in economic sphere, industrial revolution, everything is getting mechanized. Everything is getting mechanized. Market forces, capitalism. Capitalism is a theory you will study in GS paper 1. Capitalism is that just if a business person invests in some company, government should not regulate him. There is no government. Capitalism means free market. If I want to do something, I will do. If I want to hire a person today and I want to remove him tomorrow from work, I will hire a person today and I will remove him tomorrow. No one can ask him. Government cannot say you have to hire him for at least 1 year. Or if I hire a person and I will make him work 16 hours a day, government cannot say you cannot make a person work 16 hours. Only 8 hours is recommended. So when there is no rules of government, it is called capitalism. People who invest, the owners of the factories, have the liberty of doing what they want. That is the system of capitalism. It is called free market. No higher taxes, no limits, no restrictions. It is the system of capitalism. So when capitalism is adopted in any society, more people are willing to invest. I am a business person. I will go where I can earn more profit. Where I can more profit? Where there are less rules. So capitalism gives incentive to the people who have this money, rich people who can invest. Okay. So when people can invest, if I build a new factory, I will also give employment to some people. So capitalism has some advantages like employment, profit generation, etc. Okay. So this industrial revolution also I have explained you how a person who does very hard labor on his field, now he can simply use a tractor. Now he can use a simple machine. So this industrial revolution, these economic changes have some advantages. But at the same time, they have some disadvantages. Now new crimes are occurring. If you take 21st century, computer technology has developed. Cyber technology has developed. At the same time, you hear about cyber criminals who just call us, ask our OTPs, etc. Then they steal money from our bank account. Cyber frauds. Okay. So this is something modernity has happened in 21st century. Similar things happened in these new times. Financial crimes, stock markets. You heard about this Harshad Mehta. He committed a stock crime. Okay. So modernity gave to new crimes also. Gave way to new crimes also. Poor living conditions. Again, when this factory produces, where this waste goes? I establish a company, but all of this waste go into the a pond somewhere nearby. Some people will be living near to the pond. So I am polluting the environment. So there will be some poor conditions also. Again, these factory workers, where will they go? Their salaries are less. They can afford good homes. Okay, that's why slums develop. Same because of the slums and the poor workers of the factories and everything, poor living conditions exist. So whatever these economic changes and social changes happen, they will also have some negative fallouts. Again, political changes, French Revolution. Okay, estate system has gone. No oppression of commoner. Now everyone is equal. French Revolution is good. Now everyone is equal. There is no monarchy. Now there is democracy, liberty. Everyone can do whatever they want to do. Now there is no restrictions. You can do whatever you want to do. Church is not telling you anything. King is not telling you anything. So there are some positives. At the same time, there are some negatives. Chaos and uncertainty. As I told you, somebody came to my house and stole some equipment. To whom I will complain? There is no king. So there is chaos and uncertainty. Okay, so for every positive there is a negative also. It depends on the person. If a person sees only positive, he will say modernity is good. If a person who sees only negative, he will say modernity is bad. So that's how perspective comes. And of all these changes, at the same time, we have seen this intellectual contact also, how this Voltaire, John Locke, etc. people calling people to question everything. So there is some intellectual development happening parallelly, scientific context happening, all these scientific developments of Renaissance. Okay, Isaac Newton, Copernicus, Galileo. Okay, so all of this together resulted in the modernity and to have the answers for the questions. Now all of these problems happening, how to solve these problems? These are new problems, new questions. Now we have to give answers to these questions. I told you, a person called Auguste Comte is searching. Now he wants to bring some science. So first he called something social physics. Social physics. First name he given to sociology is social physics. Why? Because he want to imitate physics. I told you he is observing other natural sciences like medicine, physics. So he want to make a similar science for the society. So he called it social physics. Then later he changed it to sociology. So the first name of sociology is social physics. Again he says sociology is of two parts. Sociology can be divided into social statistics and social statics and social dynamics. Social statics is something that does not change, static. Social static. Social dynamics are something which is continuously changing. Okay. So take population, number of people in a city will continuously vary. So if I study population, it is static, it is dynamic. Okay. If I study number of religions, what are the religions existing in India? Last year it was Hinduism, Muslim, Christianity. Have you heard of any new religion invented this year? No, it is comparatively static. So when you read things which are static, this Auguste Comte called it social statics. When you study those things which are changing, he called it social dynamics. So in his opinion, sociology consists of two parts. Again, the words statics and dynamics also from physics. In physics you will have this static electricity, okay, dynamics, Newton laws of motion, dynamics, etc. All of these are words from physics. He borrowed it from the other sciences. So he wants to make sociology a science similar to the way of other sciences. That's what my point is. So all of this, how it resulted in the emergence of sociology, you have seen. Okay. So that is how modernity originated in the Europe, and it brought some social change. It has some both positive social changes and negative social changes. Modernity has some positive and negative also. Okay, and it posed some challenges. So it posed some challenges means it gave some questions to the people who want to solve. So while searching the answers to the question, something called sociology has emerged. Okay. Now see, this another thinker, whatever I told you with the common sense. Now I am supporting it. John Harris, a sociologist, he said sociology emerged as a discipline which arose in the direct response to the social problems posed by the modernity. Okay, so when I add this statement in my answer, I will get 1 mark extra. Okay, sociology in the West emerged as an attempt to make sense of modernity and the fallouts. People are not able to understand what is this modernity, what are its negatives, fallouts. So to understand this modernity and its negative consequences, this subject of sociology got originated. Now I have told you sociology is all about the perspectives. There will be some sociologists who support, who highlight the advantages of modernity, and there will be some sociologists who highlight the negatives of modernity. We call it criticism. Okay, some people who criticize modernity, some sociologists will be there. We should have both of their names, because if a question comes, we should be able to use any thinker we have. Okay, I have told you in 10 marks you are supposed to use 4 thinkers. In 20 marks you are supposed to use 8 thinkers. Okay, so to have those thinkers ready, you should learn thinkers who support modernity, who criticize modernity, etc. Okay, so you should know all the perspectives. To understand all those perspectives, and next chapter also scope of sociology. People does not agree on scope of sociology also. In the same way they are fighting whether modernity is good or not. Some people will say this is the scope of sociology. Sociology should study whole society. Another person will come. Okay, Comte, there will be another sociologist called Durkheim also. He also talks about physical sciences. Okay, Comte, okay, Durkheim, you are saying please develop a science like physics. Please develop a science called medicine. But you are forgetting a stone in physics does not have a mind of its own. But a human will have a mind of his own. A human and stone are same. If I throw a ball at this wall, it will come back. 100% it will come back. If I slap a human, will he slap me back or not? We cannot say. If he is angry with me, he will slap me. If he loves me, if he likes me, if I am a good friend to him, he will not slap immediately. He will ask, why have you slapped me? Okay. So if he needs something from me, he is about to ask me something, he needs my help, then even if I hit him for a wrong reason, he will tolerate it. So reaction of humans vary. Humans are intellectual beings. You cannot guess humans' reaction. So you cannot treat human as a rock. So you cannot blindly take the natural science and apply it to sociology. So some people say sociology is not a science at all. So people disagree on the scope of sociology also. How to study society? Exactly what to study society? Should I study whole society or should I study only one person? So there will be some disagreement on what is the subject of sociology and how to study society. These two we read in scope of sociology. So before understanding this perspective, you should know about the schools of sociology. Then only you will understand how people are supporting, how people are criticizing. So these are various schools of sociology. We will see this in the next class. Okay, these are schools of sociology. There are 7 or 8 schools. Throughout our 2 papers, complete whole sociology revolves around this only. Every chapter again and again these people will come. First time learning is very hard. When you read this first time, you won't understand it, but you will see it again and again. I have told you these are the chapters. Stratification. 5th chapter is stratification. Stratification means people dividing like caste, class, etc. So in the chapter of stratification, you will see some people supporting caste, some people opposing caste. So same like these various schools, people will have diverse perspective on stratification. Next chapter is work. Chapter 6 is work. Again, some people will have good opinion on work. Some people will criticize the work. Karl Marx. Karl Marx is a communist thinker who severely criticizes work. Okay, so again all of these schools we will see in the 6th chapter. So again another revision. Another in 7th chapter. 7th is politics. 7th is politics. Some people support democracy, some people criticize democracy, some people support politics, some people criticize politics. Again we see all of these schools in politics. Then 8 religion, same. 9 family, I have already explained how family is seen in different perspectives. 10 is social change. 10 is social change. Again, some people support social change, some people criticize social change. So whole sociology is nothing but the applying these schools to different concepts. Same for paper 2 also. Only in paper 2 we bring about more Indian sociologists names. Okay, in next class we will see these schools of sociology. Then after every chapter we will apply the same again. So in next class you may not fully understand this, but when we go to the next chapter, 5th or 6th, 7th or 8th, slowly you will understand. Then when you read it again, second time when you read it on your own, then you will understand it fully. So my job is to explain all of these schools so that you can understand when you read it. Okay, so let us stop here. We will continue tomorrow our next class.